Okay, so today we're talking about The Joker 2 and why society is to blame. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to be talking about how the journalists are having a meltdown over The Joker 2's announcement. More right after this. Oh my gosh, I wish I was kidding, but I don't even want to read the articles. We'll get into the craziness later because, I mean, honestly, I would say a good portion of these people writing the article are completely deranged. They need help. There was no problems with the first Joker movie. None of the things that they claimed would happen ever happened, and they're at it again. But let's talk about the facts of what The Joker 2 is first, before we dive into my personal feelings about some stuff. So The Joker 2 was announced earlier this week, I believe, or last week, and the script was turned in by Todd Philips, and the name of the movie was The Joker 2, and it was either in Latin or in French, like for the, the title of the movie, which has to do either with duality or it has to do with, two clowns. And people are like, oh, that'd be cool if, the Joker movie was about, the different personalities of the Joker. And it's like, yeah, I could see how that would be the thing. But then Warner Brothers was like, nope, this movie's going to be about Joker and Harley Quinn. And it won't be played by Margot Robbie, who Margot Robbie is busy being a Barbie girl in her Barbie world with her new Barbie movie. So she's not going to be Harley Quinn anytime soon. In fact, she's going to be taking a lot of different roles that are going to put distance between herself and DC, because I know you guys don't want to face reality, but the Harley Quinn roles that she did weren't really received well the last two movies. Even though I think the Suicide Squad sequel movie was actually pretty good. I thought Margot Robbie was very good in that, and she's a good Harley Quinn, so I hope we see more of her in the future sometime. But the reason why they're going with an older Harley Quinn to match Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is because they kind of want the romance to be more believable, which we had this weird, sick puppy love fantasy between Jared Leto and Margot Robbie that was never really fleshed out. It was just kind of creepy. It almost looked like the Joker was completely obsessed with Harley, and Harley was just kind of like this girl that was head over heels for the Joker, and then abruptly the relationship ended because a feminist wrote the movie for Harley Quinn. There was no character growth between Harley and the Joker that would have led to that separation that quickly, judging by how the movie was. Now, if you go for what Margot Robbie and Jared Leto's character was supposed to be, with the David Ayer version of the Suicide Squad, Joker was abusive, he was bad to Harley, he was manipulative, he was gaslighting. All these things would have been great to see in the Suicide Squad movie, because then it would have made sense why Harley Quinn dumps the Joker, or rather why the Joker gets rid of her, is because their relationship is literally the very definition of toxicity. But we never saw that because the media was concerned about seeing that type of domestic violence on screen and how it would victimize women, so they didn't show it, even though it probably would have been important to show it because there's really no reason why Harley and Joker aren't really together. It's just kind of an abrupt change to the script. So the lady that they want to bring in to play Harley Quinn for the Joker 2 movie is Lady Gaga. Now, Lady Gaga is just coming off a somewhat successful movie where she was the Gucci murder lady, she did a good job in that film from what I hear. I haven't seen the movie personally, so I'm also not a huge Lady Gaga fan. I'm aware of her. I know she's been around for a while, and she's a pop sensation, I guess, or dance. I don't know, whatever type of music she does. But she has musical chops, and this movie apparently would be a musical. Now, a lot of people kind of dismissive of this online because they're like, well, a musical DC thing doesn't really work. Actually, yes, it does. The DC musical of Flash and Supergirl on the CW is still wildly praised. It was a great episode. It's one of the best aspects of the Arrowverse to ever happen. And if a movie is written right, it actually could do really well for the Joker, because you're not going to get a character study with the Joker 2. That's what the first movie was. Todd Philips, he likes to change how he does cinema. The cinema meme. So the first movie was a character study. The next movie could be a psychological, musical type thing, or it could be a comedy musical. If you didn't know this, Todd Philips was actually a comedy guy, although he made some very true statements about comedy in this day and age, and he's correct in what he said. He said that movies like he made before, like Road Trip and Hangover or whatever, I'm not sure if he made Knocked Up, but those type of, we'll say, frat boy comedies, and dark comedies don't really work in this day and age. They could work, but people are too sensitive with their feelings that literally anything can set them off. Essentially what Joker did in his movie. Although his first movie was about the dangers of mental illness going untreated, and when society doesn't actually reach out an arm to help people, they could turn into the Joker. That's what I've heard people describe the Joker movie to me, and I agree with that assessment. I think that's perfectly valid, and at the heart of the movie, it makes a lot of sense. Arthur was a very tortured individual, you know, psychologically, and he popped and blamed society and did horrible things, and he spurned on other people that also were kind of downtrodden from society and also suffered from, you know, problems in the mental variety. And that movie spoke to them. Now, we get to the actual aspect of, you know, what the media is saying right now. Let's use some examples, shall we? So, their articles, they were worried about the first Joker movie, which they actually talk about in their scathing articles of late, trying to paint an illustration of how bad the world is after the Joker movie. Like, all this terrible stuff happened because, you know, this movie spurned on the incels. Sorry, that's not a really great word, but it's a word that a lot of SJWs use to describe even married people, like myself. So we were supposed to join the Joker army and do terrible things to our fellow man, which, of course, we did not. But in their warped view of reality, they think that happened. And, you know, I feel really bad for them. And I pray that they recover and, you know, come back to the world of sanity. Their articles back in the day was basically describing all the things that the movie did, like glorifying gun violence and mob rule and, you know, attacking people that have different views than you and all this stuff. And it reminds me of the saying, you know, you have to take the plank out of your own eye before you point the finger at someone else. Because, I mean, basically, the stuff in the Joker movie that they were concerned about, and I'm just going to say it bluntly, they really believed that conservatives and libertarians and people sitting on the fence were going to basically turn into the Joker's mob. But their side, or their views, led to riots and people being dragged out of cars and attacked with bricks and, you know, burning down cities and doxing people and doing all this crazy stuff that they said was going to happen from the people who didn't share their philosophy when their side was the one that was literally wilding out, you know? I find that really interesting, that either they can't see it, like they're completely blind, or they're just not consciously aware of it at all. Because basically their fears that they are describing are happening, but not to the boogeyman that they were trying to, you know, fuel on to do these things. And it's not even to say that the Joker movie caused all this stuff, because that stuff didn't happen until years later. And the Joker movie was in theaters for a while, it was hot, and then you had other movies replace it. And there's been movies that have come out after that that have been very extreme, but they don't talk about because they come from not controversial directors. Now, the reason why they don't like Todd Philips is because Todd Philips is controversial to them. And the thing that really bothers me the most is I remember The View, and they were talking about the Joker movie, and the ladies were terrified that a Dark Knight Rises incident was going to happen because of the gun violence and the mob violence in the movie. And of course, that never happened. And it almost looked like that Whoopi Goldberg and these other people were very upset when that stuff didn't happen. And that, to me, I don't know about you, but I was kind of concerned that maybe something like that could have happened at the theaters, you know, again. And the whole time the movie was in theaters, I was a little worried. I kind of gave in to the fear-mongering because it was all over Twitter. It was all over YouTube. And it never happened. So now, with the Joker 2 movie, they're at it again, and they're doing all this stuff where they're saying, I hope it doesn't lead to this, and I hope it doesn't lead to more people getting hurt and stuff like that. And it's like, I just, you know, I don't understand how these people have the type of influence that they do, because if anybody's abusing their power, it's the media. Big time. But anyway, that's all the news on the Joker 2. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. In the comment section below, Tell me how you feel about the Joker 2 movie. Are you excited? Or are you also concerned, like the media, that the Joker 2 is going to cause basically the world of Mad Mechs? I always like to hear your guys and gals' thoughts. Just keep it civil, be respectful and polite to one another. We have an awesome community here. You guys are fantastic people. I know I'm a very cynical individual. I've had a lot of really bad things happen to me. I grew up in some pretty rough areas of New York and Albany and Troy and Chicago. So I've seen mankind at its base form, which is pretty disturbing. But hopefully we'll get to some interesting DC news later this week. But unfortunately, most of the news is all very stuff I don't want to talk about. But I feel like it was important to address this. You know what I mean? All right, people. Keep it locked here for more news on Batman and video games TV and occasionally comics. Later.